This is the Music History Today podcast for December the 11th. On today's show, it's the first gigs for Aretha Franklin, Genesis, and the Velvet Underground. First up, though, on this date in 1882, Boston, Massachusetts Bijou Theater, which was the first theater in America to have electricity, held its first performance, which was the Gilbert and Sullivan opera Iolanthe. In 1946, Hank Williams Sr. began recording with the Sterling record label. In 1946, same day, Bill Haley of Bill Haley and the Comets married his wife Dorothy Crow. In 1951, Hank Thompson and his Brazos Valley Boys began recording the most popular song of 1952 on Billboard magazine, called The Wild Side of Life. In 1957, Jerry Lee Lewis married his 13-year-old cousin, Myra Gale Brown, which became a humongous scandal and effectively crushed Jerry Lee Lewis's career. In 1960, Aretha Franklin played at the Village Vanguard in New York City, which was her first concert. In 1961, the Marvelettes song Please Mr. Postman became Motown Records' first song to hit number one on the Billboard Hot 100 singles chart. In 1964, Sam Cooke was killed by a manager of a motel in Los Angeles after she claimed that Cooke had assaulted her. Sam Cooke was 33 years old, and we go over this whole entire thing, including all the conspiracy theories and what led up to it, on this week's Music History In-Depth podcast, which has dropped on this network. In 1965, the Velvet Underground played a gig for the first time. It was at Summit High School in New Jersey. In 1966, the band Bluesology with band member Elton John opened for Little Richard in London, England. Once he saw Little Richard perform, Elton said that was when he decided that he was going to be a rock and roll piano player. In 1967, the Beatles record label, Apple Music, signed the band Grapefruit, its first group signed to the record label itself. In 1967, same day, Nancy Sinatra's TV special Movin' with Nancy premiered. In 1968, the Rolling Stones Rock and Roll Circus TV show was recorded and then not shown to the public until October 12, 1996. Mick Jagger was reportedly very unhappy with the performance and buried the recording for 28 years, or at least that's the official excuse. There may have been more. We don't know. In 1972, Genesis played a gig for the first time in America. It was on the campus of Brandeis University. In 1973, Bobby Darin had unsuccessful heart valve surgery. He passed away less than 2 weeks later. In 1981, the Beastie Boys and Bad Brains were the last artists to play at the famed New York City club Max's Kansas City. The Beasties were the opening act, not the headlining act, as no one knew who they were at that point, and their debut album, Licensed to Ill, had not come out yet. In 1989, Great White performed their live concert album at Wembley Arena in London, England. In 1995, Tori Amos's song Caught a Light Sneeze became the first song by a major artist to be made available for digital download before being released as a single. In 2006, Mariah Carey's classic Christmas song All I Want for Christmas Is You became the first ringtone to sell over 500,000 copies. In 2010, Billboard magazine released its first Social 50 chart, which tracks artist popularity on social media like Instagram and TikTok and such. Rihanna held the first number one spot. In 2010, Joel Madden of Good Charlotte married former reality TV show star and fashion designer Nicole Richie. In 2012, sitar legend Ravi Shankar passed away at the age of 92. Ravi, of course, is also the father of jazz artist Norah Jones. And in 2016, the group Mix 5 was formed. Albums that were released on December the 11th include in 1968 when Blood, Sweat, and Tears released their self-titled album. In 1968, same day, Deep Purple released the Book of Talisman. In 1970, John Lennon and the Plastic Ono Band released the debut solo album, which was John Lennon, Plastic Ono Band. In 1970 as well, King Crimson released Lizard, but only in the UK on that date. In 1972, the Rolling Stones released more hot rocks, Big Hits and Phased Cookies, which was the second part of their greatest hits albums. In 1982, Slade released Slade on Stage. In 1984, Leonard Cohen released Various Positions. That was the album that had the song Hallelujah on it. In 1989, Monty Python released Monty Python Sings. And in 2001, No Doubt released Rocksteady. Singles that were released on December the 11th include in 1964 when Jerry and the Pacemakers released Ferry Cross the Mersey, but only in the UK on that date. In 1979, The Cars released Double Life, their third single off of their Candy O album. In 1983, Curtis Blow's song Hard Times became the first rap song to be covered by another artist when Run DMC released their version of the song. In 2011, Little Mix released their debut single Cannonball. And in 2020, Victoria Justice came back out of self-imposed musical exile to release the single Treat Myself. Before we continue, we'd like to tell you that we've started Season 2 of the Music History In-Depth podcast, where we go more in-depth on some of the events that we mention on this particular podcast. The Music History In-Depth podcast drops every Tuesday on this podcast network. Now, back to the Music History Today podcast. Artists who were born on December the 11th include actress and singer Haley Steinfeld, Jermaine Jackson of the Jacksons, actress and singer Rita Moreno, the legendary one herself. Also another legend coming up, blues icon Big Mama Thornton, who did the original version of Hound Dog before Elvis took it. The king of mambo himself, Mr. Perez Prado, tango music legend Carlos Gardel, classical composer Luis Hector Berlioz, David Schools of Widespread Panic, DJ Yella of NWA, Zachy Vengeance of Avenged Sevenfold, Chester Thompson of Genesis, Justin Curry of Delamitri, Mike Messaros of the Smithereens, Nikki Sixx of Motley Crue, Tony Brown of J.D. Sumner and the Stamps Quartet, singer Brenda Lee, J. Frank Wilson of J. Frank Wilson and the Cavaliers, David Gates of Bread, Tom Brumley of Buck Owens and the Buckaroos, Curtis Williams of the Penguins, Steve Young of AC/DC, bassist Daryl Jones, and Hyolan of Sistar. Artists who unfortunately passed away on December the 11th, other than the ones mentioned earlier, include musician Thomas Ball, jazz singer Lee Wiley, the band leader of Clouds of Joy, jazz saxophonist Andy Kirk, singer and actor Arthur Mullard, singer and actor John Hewood, music critic Robert Shelton, singer Lynn Strait of the group Snot, jazz organist Charles Ireland, pianist Lou Stein, singer M.S. Subbulakshmi, singer Christy Hennessy, drummer Tommy Ruger of the group The Nightcrawlers, country music singer Dawn Sears of the group The Time Jumpers, conductor Hans Wallet, singer-songwriter Esra Mohawk, session and touring guitarist Jeffrey Foskett, and singer-songwriter Zahara. Next on the Music History Today podcast, it is December the 12th when in 1915, The Voice, the chairman of the board, Mr. Frank Sinatra, was born.